Let's go into today's huddle. It's 11:32. We're starting a couple minutes late, but we already started when everyone got here, right? We got some good stories for you today and a good huddle. Keeping this in mind, guys, we're here to build our belief, to share, to receive, and to also grow, right? We get our hair on fire. That's one thing, to get our hair on fire, to get after it, inspire us into action. But it's also a good little tip. So all of us are here walking away. If you have a car, now I happen to have an electric vehicle, but I've got a combustion truck as well, and my truck is a V8, so that means it's got 8 spark plugs, right? And those spark plugs all spark and create something. Without spark plugs, that car doesn't run, right? A business owner is the spark of their business, aren't they? They are. And you're the spark of your business. You are the spark of your business. So as we're huddled up here today, how can we be a better acting spark plug? What can we do for our own business? But what can we do for that business owner to be that spark, to help them take their next chapter? And what can you do to help you take your next chapter? Bringing the energy, bringing curiosity, bringing in genuine care, setting goals for yourself, helping them set goals for their business. So look beyond you're not just a funding application. If you were, you could run an ad on the newspaper and say, click here to apply now. And you could do that. And you'll get some referrals and you'll get one-time loans and stuff. But the way you get this is you have 100 business owners who know you as the funding person, and then 150, and then 200, and then 250, and then 300, and then 350. And as you do that, when they need funding, who are they going to? You. But you got to be that spark plug to be their spark plug. They're the spark plug of their business. I'm the spark plug of my entity, but you're the spark plug of your entity, your DAC agency, right? So I would ask you, as you walk into today, I'm going to tell you a story here in a minute. Before we go into the pro tip, I would ask you, how can you be a better, cleaner spark plug for yourself today? Figure that out, write it down, jot it down. You already know. You got some conviction already, what you can do better, what you can be better with. And if you don't already have goals with deadlines, set them. I know it's common sense, but it's common sense from all champions. It's not common sense for people that aren't champions. It is, but they don't exercise that common sense. Remember what we said yesterday, it's doing the ordinary things consistently, not being extraordinary. If you do the ordinary things consistently, you are extraordinary, because most people don't. So set your goal, have a timeline, get after it, set a goal for this week. How much you're going to make this week, how many clients you're going to help this week, how many clients you're going to talk to this week, have a deadline for today, and go have it. That's how you become a better spark plug, and do it the way we teach, of course. So a couple stories real quicker. I'm just going to give you one story today, funding. This story is a little longer. It needs some explanation because this will be educational too. Cheryl PQ, the broker of record on this one. Cheryl, congratulations. I know you're on here. Here's a couple backstories. Number one, the client has a credit range of only about 575. Okay. Good business. Personal credit's been damaged, building the business, right? The client had 3 positions, and one of them was a reverse consolidation. Now, what's a reverse consolidation? A reverse consolidation is when they take a loan, their third position took a loan with an agreement that that loan would pay the weekly payments of these 2. Okay, it's like a debt reorganizer. All right. It doesn't look good, because what happened is the person must have been in a pretty desperate spot if they had to get a loan to agree to pay these. And because now they're paying interest on the payment of the payments, and it starts to get real tricky. It scares every lender, right? So it seems like these reverse consolidations seem like they're helping the client, but they're actually putting them in a real bad bind. They're almost better off just calling the lender. Make sure you educate your businesses this. If you're ever in a bind and your sales have dipped and you can't afford the payment you already agreed to, instead of taking another loan to pay the payment, instead just call who you've got the loan with and let them know you're in it. Your sales have dipped and you're having trouble making that payment. They'll pause the payment or lower the payment. Okay. They'll pause it or lower it. So always teach your team, when you get a new customer and any new brokers, let them know we have a fair business model. They won't always lower the payment or pause payments, but if there's real reason, like the sales have gone down and they gave you a payment based on your current sales and sales dipped, they'll lower the payment for a period of time, for a season. They'll do that all the time, regularly, but they need to be contacted and communicated with. They won't do it if you're defaulting. Okay, that triggers a whole nother legal thing, right? So just make sure they're transparent. Well, this client, instead of doing that, I presume because they ended up getting a third party, and these third party companies are predatory. They find out someone got a revenue based loan, and they call them and say, "Hey, we can get you out of that loan, or we can just don't pay them, and we'll settle for you." And they cause you to default. There's a lot of scammy type companies out there. Tell your clients to stay away from that stuff. Tell them just to call their lender and let them know they need to slow payments or pause or lower payments. Right. Well, this one didn't, so they had a reverse consolidation, and because the client, so all the deals decline, all our lenders, all of our A lenders, and most of our B lenders decline this deal because they need time to season. They need some seasoning because they just paid off some of these situations in October. So they did just pay some off. So they don't have three positions anymore. They're down to just one position. 99% of the lenders literally said, sorry, need time. Give us a few months, have them reapply. We'll see what we can do. But one of our top B lenders actually heard Wade out. Wade had a private conversation with them. This was all a decline. There were declines all the way across. But Wade understands the business. He understands how underwriters think. He understood this underwriter might be willing to consider. So he had a conversation, talked to them. And because we have the quote unquote lowest default rate in the industry, DAC, Bank Breezy, why? We have our own underwriting team that looks at it before we send it off. We help talk to clients. We have relationships with the clients. So we have a better book of business than most others. They decided to offer a contract on Wade's request. And so congrats, Wade. Congrats, Cheryl. Congrats to that client. They provided a second position of $65,000 at a rate of 1.37 on an 11-month deal. Offer was presented this morning. So I don't know if it's been accepted yet. Don't have the answer to that yet, but the offer was presented this morning.
Well,
Great news. Go ahead, Wade.
David, yep, I just got the phone with him, and we bumped the rate up 1 point to give him. He only wants 40,000, and he and I have really, thanks to Cheryl, we got a great conversation and a great relationship now. He's only going to go to us in the future for all the money he needs, when he needs it, how he needs it, that sort of thing. So he took 40. We bumped it up to a 138, still very discounted. But the reason we bumped it is because we're giving him unbelievably huge prepayment discounts because he thinks he'll be paying it off in the first 30, 60, or 90 days. So it all worked out
Love it.
well. And Cheryl, good job. You stayed on and you did exactly what you're supposed to do. She informed us, David, of all of this. And I said, heck, man, I wish I'd have known that before it was submitted, but she didn't know that all of that before it was submitted. So once we got on it, I knew it was going to be tough, but I also knew that this guy was worth fighting for. So that's what we are.
Love
Not
it. That is
hey, not
awesome.
that there's anybody not worth fighting for, but this he's a great guy.
Yeah, well, some packages shouldn't take the funding, right? And you know that when you talk to them. And yeah, and by the way, great work, Wade. Great work, Cheryl. If Cheryl doesn't know that backstory, then Wade never hears it. If Wade never hears it, Wade never talks to the underwriter, and here we are. And it would just be an electronic decline, right? So instead, we lit it up. Cheryl was a spark plug in line with what our discussion is today. Be a spark plug. That means be igniting a little bit more, be a little bit more than just a link to an application, be a little bit more than just, yeah, we can get you funding. Be curiously interested, just like Wade was. Wade took it upon himself to go the extra mile. And a lot of that's because Cheryl goes the extra mile, and we knew the client deserved it, right? So here we are. So, okay, as we break out of the huddle today, today's discussion was be a spark for your own business, but be a spark for your business, your clients too. How do you do that? You you be curious rather than convincing. So lead with curiosity, not trying to close. So what does curiosity look like? It can be, what have you done for funding in the past? Or what would funding do for you? What's your biggest challenge right now? Or if you had working capital right now, what would you invest in first? Or if you came into 50 grand, what would you do with it to grow your business? Those type questions. If you came to me right now and said, David, I got $1 million I want to put into your business. What do you want to do to take Bank Breezy worldwide or nationwide? I got $1 million. I've already played with that example. I'd say, I'm sorry, we're already doing everything, but let me think about it, right? It would get me thinking. But The reality is we've already got the money to invest into our business, but most people don't. So you could ask, and they, I've got another business owner friend who I asked that question, and he's funding 3 or 4 businesses every single year out of his own cash flow. He's got a very successful restaurant business, and he's hand over fist money. He needs to reinvest it. Otherwise, it's tax consequences, right? That's rare. That's super rare, but I wouldn't know that without asking curiosity questions, right? And that's what we have to do. So here's the challenge today. 5 curious conversations. Before the day's over, have 5. How many? 5 meaningful conversations where you lead with curiosity, not a pitch. Something like, if you had working capital, what would you do with it? Or have you ever thought of any profit growing ideas, but you just don't have the funding to do it? If we did get you approved, would you be able to turn it into a double or triple your income or double or triple your money scenario in your business? What would you do? Is there anything you could do to drive your profit margins that money could help?